Serious, guys of Reddit, what's the creepiest thing a lady has done that was meant to be romantic? My buddy's girlfriend showed up at my front door drunk and ready to bang. She professed her love for me and had built up this secret relationship between the two of us in her head. Like, we had our song and stuff like that. She said that the only reason that she was still with him was so that she could see me. I was pretty creeped out. I was polite, but told her that I wasn't interested in any way. I made sure that she got home safe and then called my friend to tell him what happened. When he confronted her, she said that we had slept together that night. He called me on speakerphone in front of her and asked what happened. I told him the same story I told him the night before. He broke up with her right there and threw her out of his house. She emailed me about 6 months later to tell me that she missed me. I did not respond. A girl used to hide condoms in my jacket for a few months. The condoms started out cheap, like the free kind you get from the Great American Condom campaign, but they got progressively nicer and nicer. When I found a lambskin condom in my water bottle, I finally decided enough was enough and confronted her about it. It was all very strange. Frick Reddit. Finally, I get to tell this story. I'm on the train. This girl behind me is having the most boring phone conversation I've ever heard. Some guy she thinks is cute or something. I keep listening though, mostly because she's too loud to block out, and things get weird. The guy she's describing sounds pretty physically identical to me. So I turn around, and this girl says, "Oh, he's looking at me now. I wonder what he'll do. I wonder if he likes me." She also doesn't have a freaking phone. Yeah, I got off at the next stop and put a whole train between me and that weirdo. This is the type of story that could be in some chick flick and be portrayed as totally not creepy at all. I don't think it was meant to be romantic, it was just plain creepy. I work retail at a hardware store. This lady is a regular customer. These days I've gotten pretty good at avoiding her when she comes in, but for a while it was difficult. Keep in mind, there is probably a 40 or 50 year age difference. She will always ask me to get things off the bottom shelf, repeatedly changing her mind, just so she can stare at my butt. That wasn't the creepy part though. What makes it creepy is the ridiculous sigh of satisfaction she would let out every time I bent over. Like full breath in through the nose followed up with a serious lip licking smacking and a long ah that sent a shiver down my spine. The kind of heavy sigh of satisfaction that you let out with your first sip of coffee in the morning or when you flop onto your bed after a long day. The first time it happened I finally understood what women mean when they say they hate being treated like a piece of meat. I felt kind of violated. If this still happens, try crouching instead of bending over. Not exactly romantic, but the first night I was hooking up with this beautiful girl, she wanted to prove how dirty she could be. I had told her that I like to try interesting things in bed, and she said, "Yeah, well, I'm up for anything." See this scar points to her left clavicle, that's where I cut myself so my last boyfriend could drink my blood. But she was still super hot, so I pretended that was totally normal. This happened on an older social media site when I was 13. This girl first left a comment saying I looked cute, started messaging me daily, liking all my pictures, and up to the point where she contacted some of my cousins to find out where I live, and stood in front of my house 3 days straight. It was a weird experience. Not exactly romantic, but one time after a party in high school, a girl broke into my parents' apartment, where I lived at the time, and slept in my bed. I didn't come home that night as I crashed at a friend's house, and I was pretty surprised when my mom called me in the morning, asking who she was. To this day I still don't know how she managed to get into the apartment. I'm a locksmith and I'm a locksmith. 3 months into dating she got me a necklace. It was a dog tag, and it had my name and Crazy's name, equals forever on it. It's been almost 8 years since we broke up and she'll still texts my mom asking about me. My mom likes her and gives her ways to contact me. I haven't replied in about 3 years, still get messages every month or so. Hid in the backseat of my car, wanting to surprise me when I got off of work. She was aiming for cute and quirky. I thought I was being robbed. Scared the absolute crap out of me. She could not understand how I didn't find it hilarious. I was officially, in her eyes, branded no fun. and we broke up pretty soon thereafter. Her idea of fun is going to get her killed one day. Okay, we had broken up, but she made a YouTube video of old footage of us spliced together with footage of her cutting herself, which was something she did and I tried to help her not do, but you know, I can only do so much, and licking the blood off the razor blade. This was all set to music, though I forget what song. I don't know if that's how she dealt with the breakup or if she was trying to get me back or what, but that totally happened. The video disappeared or became private shortly after. Man, the song playing is such a crucial detail too. Don't know if I'd call it meant to be romantic, but definitely creepy. I went on a date with a girl that I'd been chatting with on the internet. We traded pics and everything seemed fine, so we agreed to lunch and take it from there. During lunch she was incredibly giggly, like everything either of us said had a hidden double meaning or something. It was okay at first, but got old after a while. After lunch I wasn't really feeling it and was going to end it, but she suggested we head back to my place. Admittedly she was good looking enough for me to go there, so I agreed. Once at my apartment she needed to use the bathroom. She was in there for about 20 minutes, so I figured, you know, poopin', whatever. When she came out she had this huge smile on her face. We started talking and she remarked that she noticed I used the same shampoo as her. Then she said that we also use same soap, toothpaste, and several other toiletries. I realized that she had spent a lot of that time in the bathroom going through my shower, medicine cabinet, and under the sink storage. That really creeped me out. She licked my bald spot while I was on the computer. I'm a father. I do my utmost to keep the women I've dated out of my daughter's life, at least until a serious relationship is on the table. Despite my efforts, I've had several women I've dated try to insert themselves into the picture, turning up at my house unannounced, turning up at my daughter's school unannounced, will not leave if they've stayed the night and my daughter is due home from staying with family, hanging around outside my house while my daughter plays outside and trying to talk to her. Had one girl I was seeing for a while take photos from my Facebook of me and my daughter and put them as her profile picture. Only knew her for a few months and other than accepting a friend request, I never looked at her profile, which she'd virtually built into a family album. Never met her. I was bored looking through the Instagram Explore tab and noticed a photo of me. She wrote that I was her boyfriend and there were 3 photos where she must have been sitting near me and took a selfie with me next near to her. After that I stopped wearing earphones and started paying attention. I spotted the chick looking at me, so I said that I found her Instagram photos and she went red and just screamed. This was in a library. The end. Haha, that one is pretty funny. She got caught. My ex broke up with me. Then, when she regretted it, she tried to convince me to come back together with her. One of her many selling points was that, if we didn't become a couple again, she would sleep with all my friends. I warned my friends about it, and they avoided sticking their dongs in crazy. She took that as a sign that I still cared for her, so after getting high and drunk, she broke into my apartment to watch me sleep. Luckily I lock my door at night. I found her the next morning passed out in the hallway. She left crying and we haven't spoken since. If I told my friends that, half of them would be hitting her up either that night or the next day. A girl I dated used to call me and tell me she was cutting herself. From time to time, I was trying to be a good boyfriend and talk her out of it and tell her not to. She told me later that she wasn't really cutting herself. She just liked hearing me be concerned for her. It made her feel wanted and desired. On one hand, that's just very sad. On the other hand, that's very creepy. Dang, that takes the cake for insecurity. I was waiting to order a drink at a bar in Tallahassee when I felt something go up my butt. I turn around, fist raised, and it was a very drunk FSU girl with her finger up my butt. I was wearing basketball shorts and admittedly shouldn't have been commando at the time, so she really got up there. When I lowered my fist and yelled, "What the frick?" she started rapping Guilty Conscience by Eminem. She rapped pretty flawlessly for about a minute before I finally took in the whole situation and decided to walk away. No part of that story is false. Floridians are just the weirdest freaking people on the planet. ETA. Her finger left my butt when I turned around. Just wanted to clear that up. ETA 2. It turns out the place was Cabo's Island Grill and Bar. Sorry everyone with money on Bullwinkles. That sounds like an initiation. Third year of undergrad, living in a co-ed dorm. Down the hall was a room of freshman girls, all kind of nice in a cloying sort of way, and heavily religious. Not my thing, though I've got nothing against it. One of the girls had parents who lived near mine, and she caught a ride home with me for Thanksgiving. We made bland small talk for the 2-hour ride, just to pass the time. Dropped her off at her folks' place, and didn't think twice about it. 2 weeks later, back at school, I came home from class to find pictures of babies taped up all over my door, like a few dozen, all clipped out of magazines. Courtesy of the girl, I just kind of stared at it blankly for a moment, and feeling majorly creeped out and having no idea what to make of it, I peeled them all off and threw them away. 3 days later, same thing. This was the girl's way of hitting on me, because somehow, in her mind, that trip home proved that we were meant for each other, and this was her idea for provoking some subconscious parenting instinct, prompting us to get religiously married and have lots of babies together. I threw them away again. She never mentioned it and never talked to me again, and that was okay by me. TL. DNR. Girl made a pass at me by taping pictures of babies up to my dorm room door. Twice. In middle school, this girl I knew took my gum and started chewing it, like she stuck her fingers in my mouth, pinched my gum and put it in her mouth. Don't know if that was getting hit on, or if she just wanted to assert her dominance over you. Either way, that's alpha as frick. When I sat down across from her at the table, she handed me a glass of water. I drank most of it, then asked her why there was a marble in the glass. She said I swallowed that marble 3 days ago. Friend of mine got some kind of pen pal from Norway once. During a snowstorm in winter, she got bored and started to Snapchat him. The only problem was that the Snapchats were just the progression of her skinning a mouse she found. Each photo would be the mouse with less skin on. The whole time she thought she was being cute. Clearly that's just how Norwegian girls flirt. I met a girl at the bar I usually go to. She seemed to be really into me and we have a lot of the same interests, so we talked for most of the evening. Found out she is 6 years older than me, which didn't bother me much considering how cool she seemed. Thought that her added experience might teach me some new interesting things. Boy did it. After the bar closed, 2 AM, we went to her place and luckily her roommate was away for the holidays. Fast forward a bit and things are starting to get heated as we are making out and almost naked on the couch. Straddling me, she tells me to relax my mouth. Confused, I comply with her request. She starts to what I can best describe as perform a tongue-based examination of my mouth. Not in a weird makeout kind of way, more as sticking her tongue between my lips and teeth. Both the teeth in front and to the back, while doing a kissing motion with her lips every so often. I give it a few minutes of trying to figure out what she is trying to do while kissing her back, which she then told me not to do and just to relax. I could endure about a minute of sitting with my mouth open while she tongue explore kissed me before it got too weird for me. The whole time I felt like a mother bird feeding its children with food in its mouth. I started moving for her to get off, lit a smoke and asked her what that was. Oh, it's just something I like to do. I find it to be very intimate. Intimate is not the word I would use to describe that event. I finished half of my smoke, got up and told her I gotta go while already heading for the door. I have not responded to any of her calls, messages. Back in high school, I was dating this super insecure girl. When I started to realize that things weren't going to work out, I started to distance myself and eventually break up. Once she figured out what I was doing, she tried to bribe me, literally came to school with a fat wad of cash and tried to get me to keep dating her. Stupid high school Samajju thought that was beneath his dignity and firmly rebuffed her. Now that I'm in college, I am more than willing to W myself out to her. Tori, call me PLS. What the? An ex of mine secretly moved into my family's cabin in Maine. I was dating the girl who later would become my wife and I took her up to see the place. We arrived to a cabin full of my ex's stuff and no one there. I made a few calls and located her. I told her that she had 2 hours to empty the place out. We came back later and everything was gone. She later told me that she did it to impress me. I dunno. I'm kinda impressed she was able to move a whole cabin's worth of stuff out in 2 hours. I don't know if it was intended to be romantic. It was on my birthday and I had rented out a room where we could hang out and drink and be ridiculous, as I didn't have a place of my own yet. One girl that shows up is completely insecure about herself and was always one to wonder why the guys never hit on her. But this night, she wasn't having that. She was going to let her confidence shine the only way she knew how, and that was by placing herself on the bed and just opening her legs as wide as she could. She was in ballet and holding conversations about how bad she wanted someone to jump on her and make a night of it. Now, some of you may read that and think that wow, why didn't you jump her bones, but her personality was off the freaking charts. I would almost say she was like the redhead in Wedding Crashers. Socially awkward, wanting attention, and how she was just going on out. It was one of the biggest turn-offs for such an easy good time. There was this girl in high school that had the biggest crush on me. I told her I wasn't into it, but she kept doing nice things for me. She kept ditching lunch with her friends to bring me fast food, left notes on my car. It was creepy, but I didn't get creeped out. It was harmless. I was really consistent about not being into her, but she didn't seem to mind. I still feel bad, and I'm not sure if I handled that properly. Sent me a Snapchat of her freshly used tampon in video form where she sniffs and licks it. Thinking of you was the caption. This has to be fake. Please be fake. Only knew her first name. She was the barista at a restaurant I frequented. She followed me home multiple times. I came home one day and she was in the shower. Creepy, right? I drove her home and had the locks changed. A few weeks go by. I come home to dinner being cooked. She just stood there smiling. I left and called the cops. She was cute though. The single weirdest thing a woman has done to me. I had a co-worker who told everyone we were dating, which was not true. She would text me obsessively and get jealous if I talked to other girls. Again, we were not dating. The craziest was when she started asking for a place to stay, claiming her parents had kicked her out and she was homeless. Before I could even respond, her mother called me to tell me it wasn't true. When I confronted her, she mumbled something about how she just wanted to be close to me. This girl who had a crush on me in high school took the same train home as me for a few months. I saw her every once in a while, but we never really talked. I found out the year that I graduated from a friend of hers that she didn't even live near me or off of the train line I took. She would take the train, then get off and take a bus to get home, when it would have been easier for her to take the line that dropped closer to home. Her friend said that she made it to be like she did it so we could hang out, when we never spoke a word, except for maybe a hi. For some odd reason I just feel bad that she was so awkward and hopeful to speak with you. Nothing like the top post, but one girl I worked with discovered we shared some interests and basically told me she was going to stalk me until we went out. I told her please don't and that I was in a relationship. She asked what my girlfriend's name was. I told her I'd rather not say. She then intimated that I didn't really have one. Then something about how was she supposed to know who the competition was, etc. She IM'd me one night and I begged off, saying we were going out with friends to dinner and a movie. What restaurant? What film? What theater? No. Tell her you're sick and then come over and frick me. Went to HR the next day and showed them the IMs. She was a contractor, so they just cancelled the contract. I preemptively blocked her on IM, but she emailed my work email with lots of frick yous, called me a dirty liar, said I had come on to her, etc. Somehow she had gotten my phone number, and the texts and phone calls started. I finally told her if I heard from her again, I was going to the police and filing a restraining order. She told me that a restraining order didn't scare her, that she had already had one filed against her and that the cops didn't do anything when she violated it. But in any case, I didn't hear from her after that. Because of this girl, I still don't use my real name online anywhere. So I am sitting in my nutrition class in middle school. Teacher notices a girl not paying attention and scribbling on her composition book. She snatches it away and opens it, revealing to the class one entire composition notebook filled with her name and my name, her name with my last name, etc. Then, a girl next to her snatches 2 more notebooks she had on her desk, both also filled to the brim with this insanity. I felt bad how embarrassed she was, until I was made fun of also. Middle school, you know? This one girl kept calling her P Gretchen. She would say feed Gretchen and Gretchen wants your CM. Weird crap. She was also singing some Eminem song while banging. Not a good night. A girl once told me that she wished she could keep my eyes in a jar on her counter so that she could just stare at them all day. When I was in elementary school, I had a girl who had a huge crush on me. She thought we were destined to be together, so she stole her mother's wedding ring and taped it into a card that confessed her love to me. Granted, it was elementary school, but I will never forget it. Was in a tour with several people. After the tour, a girl added me on Facebook and confessed her feelings to me. I have no idea how she found my name, and we didn't even talk once. To this day she still messages me, but I see them and never reply. An ex had only been dating a year or so. We were both still in college. Once informed me that her dad wanted me to get her pregnant. She threw 40 dead weasels on my car. Where she got 40 weasels I don't know. This I know for sure. 4 restraining orders, 8 years, and me moving 3 states away. I am pretty sure she lives about 3 blocks away from me right now. She had her adult son take some nude photos of her, with messages written on her in cake frosting and whipped cream, and breaking some of my furniture by standing on it to get good angles. BTW, they were not good angles. And nothing turns me on like needing to repair my furniture because someone I hadn't yet met was in my bedroom standing on things that were obviously not made to support more than 20 pounds. Just the other day actually, while I was working, a 14-year-old girl asked me how old I was. I replied with 20. She asked me to guess her age. I jokingly responded with 28. She goes, well, that would make me legal. I noped the frick out of there. I had a girlfriend freshman year of high school. We dated for 5 months, but on our 6-month anniversary she texted me happy 6th anniversary. She originally broke up with me because she wanted to be with someone else. I was overjoyed when she broke up with me because she would always threaten suicide when I would bring up breaking up. After 4 hours of breaking up with me, she called and texted trying to convince me that she wanted to get back together. I eventually told her heck no, and a few weeks pass in awkward silence. We both go to a party for a mutual friend, but little did I know that everyone at the party is in on this. As time goes on, people end up having to leave and I see that she is panicking because they were supposed to help her with what's coming next. When I am the last person at the party besides her and the mutual friend, she starts to sing with the mutual friend playing piano. Everyone at the party was supposed to play an instrument. She handed me a notepad with the lyrics of the song. In each stanza one letter was highlighted. By the end of the song it spells out, "Can we try again?" The mutual friend runs into the closet on the far side of the room to let us figure things out. I'm trying my hardest to not scream and run. I slowly tell her that I do not want to date her again and she collapses into tears. Now here is the part that was caused by a combination of my freshman awkwardness and manners. I cross the room, open up the closet that the mutual friend is hiding in and thank her for having me over. But no, I will not date her again. The mutual friend walks me to the door, during which we have to walk past my sobbing ex. I opened the front door, stumbled into the light and called my dad, begging him to pick me up. I work for a very large, huge, coffee company. We have a regular who used to come through the drive-thru and order the same thing every time. She was older, very flirty, but never too much trouble. One day, my co-worker told me that she took a picture of me when my back was turned. She started coming into the store and talking to me, trying to get me to notice her, etc. She also continued taking pictures of me while I was working behind the bar. I never saw this. Co-workers would always let me know after the fact. When I wasn't working, she asked co-workers when I would be in next. One day, she was waiting in the parking lot for me at 5 AM, which is when we open. That was the creepiest thing. TBH, it's still happening, and I just talked to my manager about it yesterday, but she's a pushover, so I don't know what more I can do about it just yet. Buried, but whatever. I was at a concert and a girl comes up to me and asks me if I'm Jewish. As if my nose and Jufro didn't give it away, I still politely said yes. After a few minutes of talking about my Jewish looks, somehow World War II finds its way into the conversation. She asks me if my grandfather fought in World War II, then tells me that hers did too. She then comes close to me and seductively whispers in my ear for the other side and looks at me all sensual. Confused and shaking my head, I walked away. TLDR. Girl tried to hit on Jewish me by telling me her grandpa was a Nazi. Former girlfriend was an art major. She was very excited about revealing her final project to me, but wanted it to be a surprise. When she finally revealed it to me, it turned out to be a bunch of paintings of me, based on photographs she'd taken while I was sleeping. Never have I had to work so hard to feign enthusiasm. Art major. See, there's your problem. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.